Abraham, a central figure in the Bible, is often referred to as the father of the faithful. This title signifies not only his pivotal role in the biblical narrative but also his deep faith and trust in God. Throughout the scriptures, Abraham's journey exemplifies what it means to believe in God's promises, demonstrating a faith that transcends his time and resonates with believers to this day. This exploration will delve into why Abraham is honored as the father of the faithful, focusing on key moments from his life, including the miraculous birth of Isaac, the couple's faithfulness, and Abraham's ultimate test when asked to sacrifice his son. The story of Abraham begins in the book of Genesis. Originally named Abram, he lived in Ur of the Chaldeans. God called Abram to leave his homeland and promised to make him a great nation. Genesis chapter 12 verses 1 to 3 states, "Greater than, the Lord had said to Abram, Go from your country, your people and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." These verses encapsulate God's covenant with Abraham, a promise of land, descendants, and blessings. God's call required immense faith from Abraham, who was asked to leave everything familiar and venture into the unknown. Abraham's faith was not passive, it was demonstrated through his actions. Upon receiving God's call, Abraham obediently left Ur. Genesis chapter 12 verse 4 notes, "Greater than, so Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran." Despite his age and the uncertainty ahead, Abraham trusted in God's promise. This faith was further tested as he traveled to Canaan, a land marked by both hope and hardship. As he settled in Canaan, Abraham faced various challenges, including famine, Genesis chapter 12 verse 10, and conflicts with neighboring kings, Genesis chapter 14. Yet, time and again, Abraham turned to God, seeking guidance and strength. Genesis chapter 15 recounts another pivotal moment when God reassured Abraham of his promise. "Greater than, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward." Genesis chapter 15 verse 1. In this encounter, Abraham expressed his doubts regarding the lack of an heir, illustrating the human struggle with faith. Yet, God reaffirmed his promise, leading to one of the most significant declarations of faith in Scripture. "Greater than, Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness." Genesis chapter 15 verse 6. Abraham was not alone in this journey. His wife Sarah played a crucial role. Initially, both struggled to believe in God's promise of a child, especially as they aged. The laughter of Sarah in Genesis chapter 18 verse 12 reveals her disbelief. "Greater than, so Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" However, God's response is a powerful reminder of his sovereignty. "Greater than, is anything too hard for the Lord?" Genesis chapter 18 verse 14. Sarah's laughter underscores the miraculous nature of God's promise and foreshadows the joy to come when she eventually gives birth to Isaac. Isaac's birth, described in Genesis chapter 21, serves as a testament to God's faithfulness. "Greater than, now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised." Genesis chapter 21 verse 1. Isaac's name, meaning laughter, symbolizes the joy and fulfillment of God's promise amidst their earlier doubts. One of the most profound tests of Abraham's faith came when God commanded him to sacrifice Isaac. This narrative is found in Genesis chapter 22, where God's instruction challenges everything Abraham held dear. Genesis chapter 22 verse 2 states, "Greater than, then God said, Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Abraham's immediate response is striking. He does not hesitate but prepares to obey. The writer of Hebrews reflects on this act, highlighting Abraham's faith. Greater than, by faith Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had embraced the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 17. Abraham's belief that God could raise Isaac from the dead, as implied in Hebrews chapter 11 verse 19, illustrates an extraordinary depth of faith. As Abraham ascends the mountain with Isaac, he assures his son that God will provide the lamb for the sacrifice. Genesis chapter 22 verse 8. This phrase foreshadows God's ultimate provision and signifies trust in divine providence. At the crucial moment, as Abraham raises the knife to sacrifice Isaac, God intervenes, calling out to him, "Do not lay a hand on the boy." Genesis chapter 22 verse 12. God's provision is revealed in the form of a ram caught in a thicket, which becomes the sacrifice instead of Isaac. Genesis chapter 22 verses 13 to 14 states, "Greater than, Abraham looked up, and there in the thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide." This moment cements Abraham's status as the father of the faithful, because he exemplified unwavering trust and obedience. As a result of his faith, Abraham became the patriarch not only of the Israelites but also of many other nations. Romans chapter 4 verses 11 to 12 describes how Abraham is the father of all who believe. Greater than, and he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness that he had by faith while he was still uncircumcised. So then, he is the father of all who believe but have not been circumcised, in order that righteousness might be credited to them. Abraham's faith transcended generations, impacting not only his immediate descendants but also countless believers throughout history. The Apostle Paul emphasizes this theme in Galatians chapter 3 verses 6 to 9. Greater than, so also Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness. Understand, then, that those who have faith are children of Abraham. Scripture foresaw that God would justify the Gentiles by faith, and announced the gospel in advance to Abraham. All nations will be blessed through you. So those who rely on faith are blessed along with Abraham, the man of faith. In conclusion, Abraham epitomizes faith through his journey, a faith that results in action and trust in God's promises, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. His story is not only about obedience but also about the unwavering belief that God's will prevails. As the father of the faithful, Abraham inspires believers to cultivate a faith that trusts deeply in God's goodness and promises, reminding us that nothing is too difficult for the Lord. The legacy of Abraham continues to inspire countless individuals to walk in faith, trusting in God's providence, just as Abraham did. In reflecting on Abraham's story, believers find a model for their faith journey. It prompts introspection. Do we trust God's promises in our lives, even when circumstances seem dire? As we laugh with Sarah at the seemingly impossible, let us also embrace the faith of Abraham, who believed in God's goodness and the assurance that he will indeed provide. Through Abraham's life, we learn that faith is not merely an abstract concept but a living, active trust in God, who fulfills his promises, often in miraculous ways. The God who turned Sarah's laughter of disbelief into laughter of joy continues to work in our lives, inviting us to share in the legacy of faith initiated through Abraham. In all things, may we draw closer to God, anchoring our hearts in the assurance that he is the ultimate provider, and nothing is too hard for him. This exploration encapsulates the faith of Abraham, blending biblical narratives with reflections on faith that can inspire believers today. Each chapter can be expanded with further theological discussions, historical context, or personal testimonies to reach a specific word count more purposefully.